The Cryptonaut Podcast is brought to you by Cryptid Crate. Visit cryptidcrate.com and enter our promo code GRAMPUS, that's GRAMPUS, at checkout to get 10% off the entire life of your Cryptid Crate subscription. All right, just a quick reminder that we do have some merch up in our TeePublic shop. The links for that will be available in the description of this podcast. You can click, you can go check it out, pick a design you want, get a shirt. Super appreciate it. It helps support the show. Can't thank you all enough for getting t-shirts. And hey, keep sending us photos of you guys with your t-shirts. It's super cool to see people getting the merch and wearing it. And it means a lot to us. And again, thank you very much for supporting the show. So yes, get some swag if you can. So the boys and I have been on a podcast break for like 2.5 weeks. Chris and I traveled to New Jersey to go see the Misfits. Memorial Day happened. We all drank too much. Chris got sick. Not from Memorial Day. He was sick prior to that. So yeah, we had a little break. But for this episode, we reached back into the archives, and I believe this was recorded probably in the first month or so that we started the podcast. So a little pre-planning there, knowing that we're going to hit some times we're not going to be able to record. Get a couple extra episodes out here and there. That way we are not falling behind and not missing weeks. So before we get started, I want to do some quick iTunes reviews so we don't fall behind in them as well. So here we go. Let's start it off with Not Your Average Crypto Show, 5-star review from DB News. DB News goes on to say, I like that they do lesser known sightings rather than the ones that you hear on every crypto supernatural show. All right, cool. Yeah, man, we aim for the obscure and we aim to please, so we are glad that you dig it. Moving on, finally, a cryptid show I can actually enjoy. 5-star review from Tyler Dean Q. Great show. Definitely recommend the Octosquatch episode. Yes, Octosquatch has become a listener favorite. Archimedes Sanchez, Octosquatch, and a Jackhammer. If you're a new listener, go back and check that episode out. It is a fun one. Great podcast. 5-star review from Big Cam 716, new listener, and I thoroughly enjoy the show. I just wish the episodes were longer. Keep it up, guys. Yeah, thank you very much, Big Cam. We aim for about an hour, but we do have some longer episodes that we've been working on coming up, so you will enjoy those as well. Good sir. All right, final iTunes review here. Top quality, 5-star review from Black Macabre. Black Macabre. I'm not sure why I do it like James Hetfield, but I do. So, Black Macabre goes on to say, I've scoured the webs for any and all crypto podcasts, and this one is my jam. Thank you, guys. Keep it up. Awesome, man. Thank you very much. So, there you have it. Thank you all for the 5-star reviews on iTunes. It helps the show out greatly with our iTunes standing and podcast analytics and all kinds of stuff that we do in the back end there. So, all right, cool. There you have it. Without further ado, I believe what I say next is Christopher, cue that creepy music. Welcome to the Cryptonaut Podcast. I'm Mark Storrs, and with me is
Christopher C.
And
wow, Rob M.
This week, before we get into our, I guess, unexplained, we're not quite sure what these things are.
Jeez, it's very hard to discern what they are. They're ostensibly, I'll give the spoiler, right, extraterrestrial.
So before we get into the unknown, we'll do a little bit of house cleaning, some business here. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. It helps the show out greatly. Be sure to visit cryptonautpodcast.com. Follow us on all the social medias. And this week we are talking about Robo-Flowers.
Boom.
Okay.
That sounds like Final Fantasy enemies.
It totally does.
It does, yeah. This is totally Final Fantasy. So this is from Dade City, Florida, and we're going to start this off with, in 1924... a small child had an encounter with hostile robotic plant-like extraterrestrials, which allegedly resulted in the destruction of a school science building in Florida.
Exactly.
Depression-era Robo-Flowers.
Depression-era Robo-Flowers.
Jesus Christ.
Attacking science buildings. It's got everything you want.
All right. These the way we do this is that we do a bunch of research and we send emails back and forth. I got this email as I was parked next to a dumpster waiting for Rob to show up, and I'm Robo-Flowers, what? And I only got to read the first paragraph, didn't get to read anything else, so we're all going into this cold. So, Rob, please take it away.
Chris and Mark are cold, but I kind of culled the research. I've been researching this one for a couple of years now, and it's hard to squeeze stuff out. This is 1924 after all, but at the last minute I thought, I think we have to do this tonight. So I sent it to the guys, and so they're going to be hearing it cold just like you. And we will begin. Sometime in 1974... a beauty salon operator named Evelyn Went decided that it was time to break years of silence and come clean regarding a bizarre encounter she'd had 50 years before when she was a child. Went contacted The Weekday, a West Palm Beach newspaper, and asked to speak with a reporter. The article was published soon after and started with these lines. Mrs. Evelyn Went has carried a secret for the past 50 years. In 1924, she saw and talked to people from a UFO. People, I think, and this is an aside by me, is a sketchy description of what she actually saw.
Well, that implies human.
It certainly does.
Really,
and
totally.
What we're dealing with are decidedly non-human, I think.
Okay.
While playing in the schoolyard of St. Joseph's School in Pasco County, Florida, Went claimed that she saw an egg-shaped object on the ground nearby. The strange thing was brightly illuminated, forcing the little girl to shield her eyes. The egg-shaped object dimmed, revealing a leaden and pock-marked saucer. It was then that she watched in astonishment as the hatch opened on the side of the saucer, revealing its odd occupants. This is a quote directly from Went. Little people emerged. I think they were robots. I tried to count them, but they changed so they were smaller than I was and resembled animated flowers with faces where the bud would be. Remember, I was just an itty-bitty thing then, and kids don't fear flowers. That's an important note.
Or should they?
So
you think it was
she thinks they're robots.
Possibly illusionary? They just appeared to look like flowers because kids...
Maybe that's what she's suggesting. But the fact that she says first and foremost they're robots makes me think... robotic flowers, this is what I imagine, but obviously it's my interpretation. Robotic flowers, sunflowers are the closest analogy that I've come up with in the research I've done. So imagine tiny sunflowers, but with like television screen faces that have on it sort of animated human faces. So where the bud would be in the center,
right?
A semi-human face.
So this is extraterrestrial.
They're coming out of a saucer.
Little egg thing.
Well, when it was glowing, it looked like an egg. In my estimation, it is just the fact that it was the bright light made it appeared egg shaped.
Right.
When it dimmed down, it was. And what's interesting too is that it was a leaden pockmark, so like it had been beaten up, like it was something from Firefly
coming
used up in space.
Yeah, it was coming in from orbit.
This is weird enough. It gets a hell of a lot weirder.
But why? Why? If you're clearly a robot. Like you didn't. If you're trying to blend into something,
right?
I mean, you must have clearly fucked. I mean, if you look like a robot to somebody, your tech blows. Or
if you look like a robot to a 1924 child,
yeah, that's true.
That's right. So I mean,
because
like
1924, their point of reference for robots isn't necessarily spot on.
It shouldn't be that hard to fool somebody. Like,
yeah,
I mean, you got Flash Gordon serials. Maybe I don't even know how old they are.
Maybe she mistaken it.
Popular fantasy magazines.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
okay.
Pointing
that out.
It
gets a little
planting a flag there.
It gets a little stranger,
folks.
According to Went, these tiny Robo-Flowers, which I've dubbed them, were carrying what she identified as some kind of weapon, which they were trying to aim toward the school's science building.
Oh, they're armed.
They're getting too close.
They got a weapon. They're hauling out a weapon.
What is the weapon?
I
can imagine is
she just recognized it as a weapon.
This for some reason, this entire thing.
What if it was a knowledge gun?
No, that's true.
What if it was a technological hose of progression?
I would like. I love Chris's optimism. I don't believe it is.
Chris, I appreciate your PMA.
I know.
Your
I'm normally not.
Attitude.
I just like. What if it was
normally you're a bummer, but you're bringing out the positivity.
Normally I am, but it could have been a hose of hope, and they fucked it up.
It could have.
Why do I keep saying hose? There's
nothing. No, your weapon is a hose.
There's nothing
to
indicate it's a hose.
As like a tech, like kind of like one of those turret guns
Looks
from
like a
Star
gun,
Wars.
yeah.
Right.
That's what I imagine,
Well,
like
that's
a little cannon, a little tech cannon. But
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
got two little handles. And
Right.
Quite possibly.
I'm
But
thinking,
it was firing hope.
like, yeah, I'm thinking Plants vs. Zombies, the game that my kid and I play all the time,
Yeah.
like where they kind of just have like guns and stuff.
Plants? The Plants
yeah.
do?
The Plants do, yeah. It's
All
pretty
right.
cool.
It's like The Happening, but reverse.
Here's
But
where you
better.
find out exactly how sweet this little girl was.
Okay.
Since the botanic automatons were heaving this weapon. All right, let me say that. Since the atomic automatons that were heaving this weapon were so small, Went gamely offered to assist them with their cargo. But when she attempted to lift the thing, she found it weighed so much that she was unable to even shift it slightly. According to Went, I wanted to help them. They were so small. I was going to assist. The creatures let me try, but I couldn't even budge the machine.
So she's technically an accomplice in the destruction of a science lab.
She's a small child. She sees flowers with cartoon faces. Damn it, she's just doing her best to help fellow
If she
creatures.
knew it was a weapon, why would she help him move it?
Maybe she assumed it was a weapon later and realized it as an adult. I don't know.
All right, okay. I'm questioning her.
No, I know it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, why would you help?
Yeah, why would you help with the?
It was then.
All right, Dad.
It was
sorry.
Oh, sorry, Dad.
I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't want you guys to go down the rabbit hole
Okay.
yet. We got places
Okay,
to be.
I'm sorry.
All
Continue.
right, going to bed with no dinner.
You can eat. Ho-hos.
Okay, going to bed with dinner.
Oh, dinner. Sorry.
It was then that Went claimed
Best dad ever.
these mechanical marvels began to communicate with her telepathically.
The only way you can communicate with children, I found,
Well, if you're a flower robot, yeah.
or if you're just dead.
Oh, Flobo.
They told her, and this is
Flobo.
going to answer some of your questions, some of Chris's questions specifically.
Oh.
They told her that experiments were being conducted in the science building that they found disturbing.
See.
They went on to explain that, and this is a quote, if the work continued, they would destroy the place. When the reporter asked Went what the work was, she could not respond. She didn't know.
So there's like some ethics behind this.
So apparently these...
Some SJW flowers came up and they're like,
Exactly.
fuck your shit.
This is some super liberal bullshit right here.
Maybe they were
Flowers.
shaving monkeys to test perfume. I don't know, but there was something going on
Oh,
in
yeah.
this small school science building that was so heinous. These things that are ostensibly from another galaxy,
They landed
planet,
and they brought
dimension.
their weapon out, and they're like, "We gotta fucking
Yeah.
stop
If they don't
this."
cut this shit out, if
We're
they
gonna
do
blow
not
it
cut
up.
this shit out immediately,
Yeah.
that science building is done.
It makes me wonder what was going
And
on.
it's like a
in
Catholic school building.
there. What was going on?
Oh,
in
was
there?
it? Was it really?
Well, it was run by some nuns, and it was called the St. Joseph's School of Divine Love, something like that.
What were the? What
St.
were
Joseph's
the,
School.
Jesus' lab of science, not science.
Science,
It's a
not
Christian
science.
science lab. That's why they
Science
were
in
like,
parentheses, not science. Cause
yeah, it was a Christian science lab. They're like,
It's a science building. So
They don't
why
believe-
you think they'd
well,
be
maybe they were
pro-science?
all doing he loves me not. And they're like,
Oh shit.
"Oh,
You bastards, what are you doing?"
Yeah, that could be. That could be.
'Cause it's
But
all
it-
innocent.
but
They're
it's
like,
a science building at a Christian school. So what kind of science is really
the science of the
happening there?
Eucharist.
Yeah, exactly, the non-science.
This is a weird tidbit.
Science of many haddock.
This is a weird tidbit, haddock aside, that I came across in the research. It's even though I stated this earlier, it's not technically a Christian school. It was the only public school run by nuns in Florida in 1924.
Okay.
Which is
That's
strange.
still weird.
Because
How's that
nuns
possible?
running a public school seems odd, but apparently in 1924 the lines were blurred.
But okay, 1924. Let's say in the way back machine, 1924 science. What exactly is science in 1924?
I mean, it's going at
I
a
don't know.
good clip.
Shoe
but-
shining.
Yeah, but yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
God.
Like what is it really? Yeah, what is it really?
I don't, honestly,
I mean,
don't know.
seriously,
Like, when did they invent the
1924?
X-ray machine?
Like-
I feel like it was a great renaissance. And all right, let's get on with the story here.
Sorry.
All right. For reasons that can only be speculated, the Robo-Flowers evidently decided that this was not the right time to destroy the science facility. As they began to retreat into their craft, weapon in tow, one of the entities turned and invited Went to join them. She understandably declined.
Oh.
You always go.
Malarkey.
What are you doing?
Well, I don't know.
You
When you're a
always
little
go.
kid, I don't
If
know
you're a
how-
little
I
kid-
don't know if she's 4 or 8. Honestly, I don't know how old
that's
she
true,
is.
but-
Okay.
But you're thinking about your parents and candy and all the
I
delights
think if
you
you're
might
four,
miss.
you're dumb enough to where you probably agree.
You might.
So
you
she's
might. 'Cause
got
flower robots
Well-
say go. Let's go.
Okay, my daughter is 3, and she would totally go.
She would go with flower
Well, that's
robots.
what I'm
she
saying.
would,
She
yeah.
would agree
totally
completely.
go, yeah.
Because
But
that would
she
seem
has a-
totally reasonable.
She has a
Agree.
good memory.
My son,
for
who
some
is
reason.
7, would probably tear these things apart. And be like, Dad, look what I found.
All right.
Yeah.
So, not knowing exactly how old Evelyn was, your daughter's name, ironically.
Yes.
Evelyn went in this case. It's hard to say, but for whatever reason, she said no dice. She wasn't going to go.
And realistically, good move on her.
Probably.
She has solid parents.
So was this thing big enough to hold her? Because they're really vague about the size
Yeah,
of
they
these
don't really
creatures.
tell
Yeah,
you
they're
how-
not really
She
saying.
describes
big
them
it
as
is.
smaller than her, but we don't know how big she was. Was she tall for her age? It's hard to know. Were they 3.5 feet tall? Were they 4 inches? Were they little flower size? It's hard knowing.
You don't know.
But they must. The machine at least must have been big enough to, evidently hold her.
I would assume.
think.
I guess under 3 feet is probably a good assumption.
Yeah.
That's vague, but
So it's like a box that she could get in, and it would be like a ship, right? I guess.
Well, it's a saucer, a dented leaden saucer.
well,
but,
just it doesn't mean.
but it might be like a TARDIS, bigger on the
Yeah,
inside.
or it doesn't mean that just because all the people that were in the ship were out there, there could have been bigger.
It's hard to
Yeah,
tell.
I'm not really sure.
But what they did say, and I'm going to quote Went again, they promised to come back for me in 35 years. Unfortunately, that was a long time ago, and nothing happened that I know of. So 50 years after this event occurred in 1974, she was talking about it, and 15 years before, which I guess would have been 59,
Okay.
they were supposed to return for. But
I was going to say, yeah.
UFO encounters with actual extraterrestrials. This often happens where they invite someone to come with them for whatever reason they decline, and they're like, "Oh, we'll come back and see you," or they give a in 10 years and 24 years we're going to come back and we're going to take you and show you the secrets of the cosmos. And those bastards never show.
They never do.
Either that, or they're measuring years by their home planet, which could be a dick move because who knows what kind of orbit they have.
Yeah.
But if they're,
They should know that,
They
though.
should know. They're being intentional jerks.
They
if
would
they're
know
doing it
that,
that
yeah.
way.
So are they ghosting her? Is that what's happening?
It
They're
really
just
seems
like,
that
we're
way.
going to be back. Psych.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. Maybe she got really
Bye.
needy. Like,
Maybe she got really needy.
Yeah.
Are we bringing this into
she's like, want to help us? She's like, ugh.
into like dating terms?
Yeah.
She got
Well,
super needy, super fucking quick.
Like, don't worry, kid. We'll be back.
She's like,
"Yay."
oh, when? But like, I got things to do, and like, I want to hang out, and like, what are you doing for Thanksgiving?
Yeah,
and
don't worry.
Christmas? Like, simmer down, all right?
Yeah, when you're in your
Simmer down.
40s, we'll show back up.
Yeah, I know.
all
Yeah,
right.
it'll be cool. We'll hang out. It's going to be awesome. Just like you tell someone, maybe we'll get married in our 50s. If we're not doing anything, we'll go be missionaries in China and have a good, you're talking
Who
shit.
says that?
I said it to somebody
Missionaries
once.
in
Did you
China.
really?
Yeah.
Missionaries in China?
She wanted to.
Christ,
She was
Rob.
learning Mandarin at the time. It was a different me at a different time, and I was looking to
No.
end it then in the
Why would-
hopes that someday we would be speaking Mandarin together in China.
And you wanted to be a missionary in
Could you
China?
imagine
No, I just wanted it to feel like it wasn't really over.
Dude, write a note.
I know. No, I get
I'm
it.
a horrible person.
Send an email.
I'm the first to admit.
Well, it's hard to try to just end
Yeah.
that. Like, you want you.
She was
feel
a
bad.
lovely
Yeah,
human being.
I
Okay, well,
know.
especially for Evelyn here with her
Flower robots?
robot extraterrestrial
All right,
weapon bearing
Let's leave my sins
social
behind.
justice warrior movement establishing
She watched
hierarchy.
the flowers get
Jesus,
back
Rash.
in after she refused their
close.
invitation.
Okay.
They
Rudely, it might be said. And then this is how she described it taking off. All I can remember now is that the saucer was leaden-looking and very pockmarked, as I've said before. Then when it started up, its molecules expanded and it turned silvery bright.
Its molecules expand.
I'm not entirely sure
Wait.
she knew how that happened or if she was assuming. I don't know if molecules expand. I don't know if that's how science works. This might just be a hairdresser doing her damnedest to try to describe a moment
Yeah,
in her past.
molecule. Yeah, that's.
Okay.
I feel like that's just.
Let's shelve that.
Let's move past this because it's going to
Yeah.
put holes in her story, and I don't want to put holes in her story yet.
No,
The
it's true. It's
UFO
true.
then went straight up, hovered a minute, then disappeared from sight.
Okay.
And in the later 1970s, so I don't know the specific year, UFO researchers, including Stephen Putnam, attempted to hypnotize Went in an effort to elicit additional information regarding her curious encounter. But, unfortunately, they were unable to put her in a trance state. which some people you just can't hypnotize.
Yeah, some people you just can't.
That's just the way it is.
you just can't
But
do
what I like about this is her legitimate, granted 50-year-old memory, and not sort of something that was brought out by hypnotism, which tends to make it a little more dubious. It's harder to buy.
Yeah.
Right.
An interesting footnote to this account regards the fact that, according to Wendt, sometime after her meeting with these plant-like robots, the science building had been left in what she called shambles. Does this mean that these creatures made good on their promise, or was it merely a coincidence?
So shambles, as far as like it was just like, it was like ransacked, or
No,
like it was obliterated.
I think rubble.
Really?
I think it was effed up.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So
I guess it depends on how you define shambles. I'm not being empirical about this.
No,
shambles to me means like a nightmare, but it could just be somebody tore down the drapes and
like a robbery of assholes.
Yeah,
going
like
through,
somebody,
like just shit's fucked up.
Like someone tossed it, where they're just like, oh, we got to look for the map or whatever.
Not like crumbling.
The emerald.
Just like thievery shambles. That's what I pictured in my head.
It's a possibility.
I mean, look, if they came back and they totally smoked the place,
I
cool.
choose to believe that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which, of course, begs the question. Let's assume that I'm right and you guys aren't for this example.
Okay.
That this place is just fucking roasted and it's no good. Why the F would aliens, basically, robotic flowers, want to blow up a science building at a private school?
Well, they
or
said
a public
that
school
there
run by
was
nuns?
some sort of experiments going on that they didn't agree with.
All right, but what kind of experiments are happening? Is this, and it's not totally
I
out
know,
of the realm of
experiments,
possibility,
that's-
a clandestine government lab being hidden within a science building at a local school?
Well,
could
that's already
be, it
weird
could
enough that
be.
nuns are running a public school. That's weird.
That's strange.
Perfect front.
I don't know if it's a perfect front.
No, perfect front.
No, that's too obvious a weird thing. They shouldn't be doing that.
Unless the nuns are all secret agents.
Or should they?
Ladies in black
No.
and white,
Yeah.
as it were.
Well, to me, it seems like if you were going to do that, you're like, oh, we have these nuns that run this public school, which is actually a clandestine CIA operation. See what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
I follow.
It could happen.
What if...
Well, it's
And now Chris usually gets the garbage fun theories, and maybe this is stupid, but what if this was already infiltrated by rival aliens, and this was just like an intergalactic gang war?
Oh, I don't know.
Like, what if some shady other extraterrestrials had taken over this building? Because we don't know their motivations, except experiments were happening that they did not cotton to.
Okay, but I think we have to keep it terrestrial first. So we have the aliens that show up, and they're like, there's this public school run by nuns. We don't like what's going on in there. Nuns could be
Not
CIA
the public
black
school,
ops.
just the science building.
Well, actually, the
I
CIA
don't
wasn't
think
developed
so.
until Kennedy.
Did you watch the Matt Damon film?
What do you mean?
The guy who started the CIA, didn't he make a movie where he was that guy and he was
Yeah, but
porking
the-
Angelina Jolie? I don't know.
The CIA
everyone
wasn't
porked her.
developed until...
It's a Googleable thing.
Yeah, but the CIA didn't come around until Kennedy.
No.
Wasn't
Really?
it?
I don't know, maybe.
No, I'm pretty sure the CIA wasn't developed.
well, you could look it up.
Yeah,
I
you
could.
got to
Hold
do
on
it
a
because
second.
now
Because-
You've got
it-
devices with the same fucking article.
I'm
Look
calling
it up.
shenanigans
because
on that.
if I don't, we will be
Okay,
fucking-
regardless.
We would be. You guys continue. I'm going to figure out when the CIA was
Regardless.
developed. Okay.
I mean, the fact that
Okay, well,
it was a UFO, it had robots, they happen to look like flowers with cartoon faces. That's an entirely
okay, well let's
thing.
start there.
Okay.
I can't. I can come
Okay,
up with some
real
stuff.
quick. The CIA was created September 18th, 1947.
Pre-Kennedy.
Pre-Kennedy, yes, I was wrong.
shit.
The exact Google search, so that the listeners out there can follow along, was I Googled when was the CIA created.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was 47.
World War
Okay.
II taught you anything?
What's up, UFOnauts? It's your UFO guy, Rob Christofferson. Have you ever been curious about the UFO phenomenon, but unsure of where to start? Have you ever wondered about just what crashed at Roswell? Have you ever wanted common sense advice about licking UFOs? The answer's don't. Then check out the Our Strange Skies podcast, where we dive into America's rich UFO history and uncover what these sightings say about ourselves. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and most podcast apps, as well as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Don't forget to look up, because you never know what you'll find in our strange skies. In Gray we trust.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That you need a CIA.
Yeah.
if these extraterrestrials, robot flowers, are concerned about what science experiments are happening in this 1924 public school run by nuns lab.
In Florida.
Could this be what was happening in 24 that would even
Not a lot.
Yeah, not
but
really.
Like the begin, just
That's not even like
we always
that's not Oppenheimer.
try to think of what could possibly be.
Well, Manhattan Project was obviously later.
Robotic flowers.
I mean, Einstein was doing his shit. Oppenheimer was a physicist.
It sounds to me like the robotic flowers. Maybe
This is not. You can't mistake like maybe it was a bunch of squirrels coming out of fucking garbage can. Like
no.
there's not
No.
like normally it's
No.
one thing and it looks like this, and you go. We're trying to think of what it could be.
It could just be the
This is
natural appearance.
distinctly
There's,
this.
yeah,
but
there's
it- but
nothing
it-
I could possibly.
But it could just be the natural appearance of these extraterrestrials that this girl, just with her limited knowledge, is looking at them and going, "Oh, they look like flowers."
Yeah, it could be.
Right. So the assumption we have to
H.R.
work with.
Giger flowers.
There's not anything natural we know. So
No.
we're assuming it has to be something.
I think we have to go extraterrestrial just because of her account. We can't even.
It's
bring
not
this-
a rod.
No, I don't believe it's a rod.
Ghost rod or
a
demon.
Yeah, I think we have to go extraterrestrial. Was what she's saying
All right.
here.
Well, I know what she's saying.
Well,
but
you
like,
know, I mean, you assume extraterrestrial / interdimensional / time travelers. I mean, we might
are we going to
evolve
evolve
into flower robots that are coming back to the past to
Robo-dandelions?
stop an essential evil from not happening so that the world can continue. I mean, who knows?
Mecha sunflower?
But there is no effing way, no fucking way whatsoever, assuming that she saw what she saw, that this can be mistaken for something else. I agree with Chris
I know.
on
I'm
this.
trying to. There's nothing. I got
robotic
nothing.
Miniature sunflowers. And it's funny, they're miniatures because sunflowers are the one effing flower that
They're
grow
gigantic. Yeah.
to monumental size. So tiny sunflowers that are basically robotic for some reason, with screens where the bud should be,
I can't.
that have human faces that are somewhat cartoony. Like maybe whatever planet they go to, they just try to look like the indigenous population, but only in a round circle on their effing face. I'm sorry.
why
I can
the
say it, but
sunflowers, though?
Yeah, why? Well, why not? I mean,
Why,
and if
though?
they're trying to be camouflage, did they like walk to like the sidewalk and freeze and try to blend in with the
well,
rest
that's
of
what
the
I mean. But
shrubbery?
what, like, why pick
See, it sounds to me that they were just like regular aliens that whatever they look
Regular
like,
aliens.
Well, they're okay, not regular aliens.
Yeah,
but
there's
they're-
nothing regular
They're
about
ex-
it.
they're okay,
No,
I'll-
it's a funny term. Like,
they're extraterrestrials, and whatever they look like she saw, and the closest thing she could think of is, they look like flowers. Because whatever,
I see what you're saying.
Whatever tech they're wearing, whatever gear they
Okay,
got.
So you're
Well,
suggesting they
ooh, okay,
don't.
wait a minute.
They're not really trying to look like flowers.
Yeah, no,
just
it's just they happen
they
to look,
might have like really frilly, excitable
Yeah.
collars.
Yeah, they're like
okay,
I don't know, like the Inhumans maybe, but small.
maybe I've got another Shirley MacLaine.
Okay,
All right, bring it
Shirley,
home.
Shirley MacLaine us.
Maybe these things were not actually the aliens. Maybe these were like what we consider would be a drone to an alien, and there was something bigger. These things were just sent down because they were smaller.
Okay.
They built them to fit in. So those weren't the actual aliens.
Those were just the aliens'
Those were
tools.
just sort
They
of
were
like,
just the aliens' tools.
right, sort of like how the Greys wear spacesuits.
They can control
Right.
these things, and
Right.
she was just following them. But
Okay.
like in 1924, you're not going to know what a robot is talking to you
Yeah,
controls
no.
from somebody else.
I'm
No.
looking up events for 1924.
'Cause, to me, it
and
feels
there's
like something
nothing
built.
that happened.
By something else.
Something had to happen in 1924.
Well, things happen, but
So I'm
nothing
saying, like, it would make
remotely-
sense if you're a ship and maybe you'd send down this little.
Right. Yeah, it's like your landing party. It's like your scouts. You
I'm
send
not-
the scouts out, and
Yeah,
they
they weren't.
do their
I mean,
thing.
technically they're alien by default, but they're not the sentient things
Right.
that
it's
we're
as,
talking
it's as
about.
reasonable to assume that these guys are true automatons being controlled by something else as they are
The things
sentient
themselves.
beings.
True.
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
there's no way to know, and one doesn't actually seem more valid than the other.
Yeah.
No, it does not.
No,
Because
not really.
it's just as absurd if aliens are sending down sunflower robots to use a
Right.
magical,
Or-
super heavy weapon.
Right.
Like, and so here's the other thing: these things are clearly strong, because why are these tiny things able to lift this machine? Now, granted, little girls are not usually known for their super strength, but she can't even budge it.
Right.
And these tiny flower-like
Yeah,
possibly
but
metallic creatures
right,
are moving them around.
But if it's 100 pounds, she wouldn't be able to move it.
No.
Yeah, but
absolutely not.
And that's not-
But if you had 5 little flower things that can
Super
each
tech
lift
robots.
25 pounds,
Yeah.
then yeah,
But that's what I'm
totally.
saying. I'm impressed with the strength that seems to be built into these tiny
Right.
things.
Sure, but it's tech enough to where if it's extraterrestrial, they had to make it. So I'm just assuming.
Right.
Plus, who knows what maybe they're big, giant fucking things. They're like, what do we got to do? I don't know, fucking flowers. All right.
It's true, but there's never been anything seen like it. And what I find strangely most fascinating is that once the molecule shrank and this thing wasn't as bright,
that's weird.
that it looked like lead with like pockmarks in it, as if it had been bombarded by who knows what, meteors, space debris.
Yeah, maybe from
weapons.
coming into the atmosphere, you know?
So to me, that is
Maybe.
because so many UFOs are described as seamless, smooth metal, and within possibly strong hulls that can be breached. Like a proper advanced technology would have. This is like a beat up piece of used real tech, like something that would have gone through a war or whatever.
Yeah.
And because of that, to me, I just find that little detail fascinating.
Yeah,
Obviously, the fact that it's tiny flower robots with cartoon human faces is the most striking thing. But a beat down Outland or other reasonably realistic sci-fi movie type of vehicle just strikes home to me.
So this
that would make sense. Like, especially if they maybe they build something whatever for whatever planet they're on. If that's the vessel they use, it's going to look like it's beat up.
Right.
If that's the one they constantly use to put their scout / whatever's in, that
Yeah.
Well, like an old toolbox, something you
That's
use
what I
a
mean.
lot
You
is
keep-
going to get
right.
beat up.
Right.
You wherever they're going, they have these, like Chris said,
I see them like
scouts or
little
whatever.
gung-ho
just
Marines,
tools.
too. Like, there's not enough description, but I see them coming out. They're hefting this weapon. They're like, ho, ho, ho. They're talking to this girl.
Like Plants vs. Zombies.
Yeah, and she's tried to, oh, look at these cute flower people, and they're
Yeah.
like hardcore, like just grungy Marines of space. They just happen to look like
But they're
sunflowers,
super small
and they're trying. And like
flowers,
she
yeah.
tries to move it, and they're like, well, whatever, get out of the way. And if they don't stop their shit in this building,
Yeah.
it's going down.
I know.
You want to go to space with us? All right, see you, kid. See you in 35 years. Like just a bunch of fucking grizzled drill sergeants.
So this originally happened in 1924, and she didn't report it until 75,
74.
74, okay.
Literally 50 years later.
All right, so
Some people have questioned maybe her memory.
that
I don't.
Yeah, no, because consider
Because
20,
that's not as fun.
I know, but we have to obviously take a look at
Yeah, but
the
there's just
other.
there's a lot
the
of
lip.
specifics
There's
there.
definitely a lot of specifics, but also too you got to consider the whimsy of a child, which is my new book.
The whimsy of a
Whimsy
child.
of a child.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking
bestseller.
liar. Dude, I remember things when I was very little. I
No,
remember being at the drive-in watching Star Wars, and that was a long time ago.
No, I do too, but I also remember to use the term again, whimsical shit.
I never made.
Like what?
Like,
I
just- I
don't
don't
remember
know, like,
anything
my memory
whimsical.
as a kid
like
is
fairies.
garbage.
I'm with Chris 100%. My memories of my childhood are not absurdist or full of fictional
No, me
creatures
either.
or weirdness. We do have a mutual acquaintance who will go unnamed who claimed for years that she had an encounter with a gnome in someone's backyard. That is the only time, and only we'll talk about it later, but the only time I know of somebody actually claiming to have literally seen a phantasmagorical thing interacting with them.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a common thing for children. I think children are given
Not with that kind of specifics.
Children are given too much credit in one hand. They're like, oh, they just have such floating grand innocence that they're in tune with ghosts.
I know.
No,
Right. They see the other world.
Kids are
I know.
cruel,
They
pants
sense-
shitting machines.
Yeah, they're sociopaths,
They're
and they
so-
make shit up,
exactly.
and they tell lies
And that's
because they want to
garbage.
be cool.
But
Fuck
on
you,
the
little
underside,
kids. Oh,
I
sorry.
don't think
That was
kids
weird.
are. No, but he's right.
Yeah, I know.
Kids aren't, to me, as prone to making up completely utter nonsensical bullshit as
Yeah.
people say. I think they fall somewhere in between, and
Sure.
only idiots that are
Yeah.
swimming in a sea of nostalgia and
All right,
moronicness
so I guess
think otherwise.
The bigger,
Moronicness.
okay, so the bigger question is, besides the whimsy of a child, why is she coming out after this long and saying this?
It was time.
Was it
She
really
just
though,
thought it
you
was
think?
time.
was time.
That's what she said.
All right.
I don't think anything is what she said. I don't know. If you had an experience like this when you were young, and it was really, it was there. And not only did you remember encountering what were seemingly at least extraterrestrials because they were in a flying saucer.
Right.
But they had a weapon, and that this building was actually destroyed. Would you feel like at some point you'd be like, I probably should tell people
so
about this?
74, is that like UFO craze time?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
70s were
So she
second
does
only to
have-
now paranormal
She does
frenzy.
have something to kind of gain by being like, well, when I was a kid, I saw these crazy flower things wanting to blow up these nuns, alleged nuns, science lab. So there is something there.
I don't know if
where-
it was run by the nuns, but yeah.
Well, we're going to assume that they did. So there is something there where this could be something that maybe she went off on.
It's a possibility.
It is a possibility that she has ulterior motives to do this, but
True, but I got to say
I
a but too.
want to stick with the fact that
50
she maybe saw some little
Here,
things.
let me give a couple of buts. One,
Okay.
she never published a book. Now you would expect, and almost anyone that had a weird
she
encounter could publish a book at that point.
Just
Yeah,
went,
yeah.
She just went to
She
the
just went to the reporter
Okay,
and said it.
all
So
right.
as far as I know, and I am no expert, and I don't know if she tried to get a book published and it didn't work, but as far as I know, she never tried to monetize it. That is something in her favor. That's a credit in her favor.
But also, to in all fairness, it is 74. Monetizing this thing is not exactly the easiest thing to do.
No, it is a very easy thing to do because paperbacks are flying off the shelves about Bermuda Triangle and every other weird thing that comes down the pike.
Okay, fair point.
Secondly, I would say this. I think she has more to lose than gain. Gain a little bit of notoriety, perhaps some fame in some really esoteric ufological and paranormal circles, ridicule and every other. I mean, she's running a business, a hair salon. Most people that are going in there probably aren't going to be like, oh my gosh, you had this really bizarre thing. It's fascinating. How was it? Most people are probably snickering, pointing, because it's not even like I saw like green men or as it would be today, little grays with black eyes, and people are like, ooh, that's fascinating but weird, and I think you're weird but fascinating.
Right.
It's like robot flowers with cartoon faces and super guns that they use to destroy small portions of public schools run by nuns. People are going to be like, are you shitting me?
Or she's the super cool hairdresser.
Or she's insane.
That's true.
Yeah, she's after to be.
We just don't know. I assume she's dead. I don't know for a fact. I mean, she could be alive and well in Florida.
24 to 74.
She was a
And now
child.
it's 2018.
So I assume that she was probably in her mid-50s in 74.
Okay. So
Now this is, 40-something years later.
Yeah.
I mean, she would be pretty effing old.
Yeah, I know. There's nothing to gain from it.
That's the thing.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe not. But if you kind of get a little publicity behind you, you're a hairdresser. People start coming to get their perms done. It was the 70s. People needed hair.
It's a possibility. Listen, we can't
but
rule out hoax.
Well, clearly
but
nothing happened.
no, nothing. In fact, if you Google this, you will find
Like,
very few.
Yeah.
You will find our soon-to-be-published article on Cryptopia. You will find a handful of other UFO investigators that have collected evidence, but not much.
And this is a standalone incident. This hasn't happened
There are
since
no-
or before.
that I am aware of. I always have to add that caveat. There are absolutely no other robotic flower incidents.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's fucking weird.
That I've ever read.
It's tough because literally, in terms of, for some reason, in courts, eyewitness testimony is like the big
Yeah, it's
shit.
funny.
It's
You
always-
will
it's
go to
always-
jail for life.
But like eyewitness is almost it's like the worst.
Sketchy as the Dickens. Yeah, it is.
I mean, my memory is garbage.
All mine
always
is too.
been garbage,
I wouldn't
so.
trust. I would not trust my memory in a lot of things. No, it's funny. It's funny that it can and has incarcerated and maybe even led to the deaths of so many people because, as Chris just said, eyewitness testimony is the sketchiest form of testimony. Yet, in a lot of these cases, it's all we have.
Right.
Yeah, right. But you have to take it because there's no reason to. You're not in court, so why make up?
Yeah.
All right. So
robot fucking flowers.
For the sake of
To answer
the
why,
question.
I know.
For the sake
Why
of
make
Robot
up?
Flowers, we're just going to put aside her making this up and being a hoax and go with that this was an extraterrestrial scouting expedition.
No,
I guess?
it was.
I don't know.
Well, it was scouting, maybe,
Yeah.
and because they did. Here's my question too: Did they? Were they just saying, "Can we lift the weapon? Can we get it in place? Can we aim it at the building? Yes, we can. Let's leave." Or do they go there to do it and they're like, "There's a kid here. We don't want to, hurt a young human. There's no reason. Let's invite her along. If she won't come, fine, and let's come back at a later date."
Maybe.
Because why didn't they do it is a question. You don't
Right.
heft out this, at least relatively heavy machine.
Well, they said like there's experiments going on in that building, and if
And
they
if
don't
they
knock it
don't
off,
stop.
we're gonna
Yeah.
Which is
fucking
funny
blow 'em
too.
up.
Were they telling this kid that like they expected her to go in and say, "Cut it out, guys!
Did she-
You've got the
'cause she
last
didn't-
chance."
She didn't go tell them like, "Oh, dear sister, whatever." By the way, these dudes showed up with a weapon, and they were like, "Cut the shit, or we're gonna blow you up."
Yeah.
the face
I'm
with
still
fucking
pretty
earth."
convinced
Like-
that the nuns weren't doing. But if the nuns were doing the experiment, were they a secret Vatican scientific council sent to Florida? To,
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, here's where the McLean comes in.
Yeah.
secret Vatican.
Again, it could be more
Blackout.
spells. There could be witchcraft. Like if you're young, you don't know what a robot is. If you're in the 20s and you're a little girl,
Right.
you just see a little bit of metal or whatever. Maybe these were
So you bringing this to like a celestial?
no. Maybe
Plane?
these were built and automated by some sort of
via alchemy or
some sort of alchemy or witchcraft.
By, like,
because
the Vatican?
there's a fight. There's
golems or
always a
whatnot?
fight of Wiccan versus the Lord Jesus Christ Almighty. There's always a right, this is always a battle.
Be praised.
All right. So this is a new. This is Chris's new angle.
So
okay.
maybe there was just again a new thing. I don't want to bring spells back into it, but there could have been some fucking.
Okay.
There's always bringing things. Baby metal. Gollum. They
baby
look
metal
like
golem. Did you just call it
baby metal.
Baby metal
Baby metal
golem.
gollum.
baby metal
Like
golems?
Like a homunculus or whatever.
Possibly.
A possible homunculus.
These were just fucking
I
animated.
cannot fucking say the word homunculus.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Homunculus?
Homunculus.
Yeah.
I call it homunculus.
It's hilarious to hear you say that.
It's a
Yeah,
homunculus.
Hamacles.
Okay, so you're taking this from
Reg, I don't know.
demonic, not necessarily demonic,
No.
but some sort of good versus evil, possible spell casting, possible
Things could be built to look
conjuring
like that.
of these things, right?
And look at
Okay.
a young girl
So
probably
it's not
know the difference.
necessarily it's not necessarily extraterrestrial. It could be like the spiritual battleground.
Well,
does that make sense?
This has to be addressed.
It's McLean, but
McLean.
This
Okay,
has to be
all right.
addressed. Though I don't personally subscribe to this theory, there is a fundamentalist Christian, I don't know if I call it a sect, but like underground think tank, for lack of a better word, that believes that all UFOs are basically vessels from hell, that Greys and all the aliens that occupy them are demons, and that they kidnap people and torment them, and that the way you get them to not attack you is to say, Lord Jesus, please let me wake up from this nightmare, or let these evil creatures go. And if you say that, more than one abductee I've read about has said that the Greys will leave you be at that point.
Is this Mormonism?
No, let's not level an accusation at any specific religion.
Okay.
What I'm saying
I'm
is
just-
there have been
just-
books published that like flying saucers are from hell. I don't know if that's an actual title, but it's pretty much that.
I think it fucking should be.
Well, okay.
If not, you're welcome.
Let me go back into the way back machine into 1992 as I'm in Walden's books and I see UFOs are from hell. I'm buying that fucking book.
Oh, I can see the font.
in hardcover.
Oh my god.
You know, I'm
In
gonna
hardcover.
We'll look and see if there is.
Oh, I
something
can't
like,
even
because
deal
I
with that
know
right
there
now.
are a lot of theories, and some of them published, that suggest that everything extraterrestrial that encounters with Earth or have Earth encounters with Earthlings, I should say,
Oh, no.
are demonic.
Oh boy.
If that is the case, them attacking a granted public school
Yeah, I can
run
see
by and here it is too, run by an order of nuns, and I have the name of them
Yeah,
somewhere.
but why
I
would
think.
demons have robot flowers?
Well, maybe they're demons that look like robot flowers.
Rob.
Maybe they're demons
Rob.
with demon armor that
Rob.
made themselves look like flowers so they could tempt the little girl to help them destroy a building, thus corrupting her soul, destroying the building. Two birds, one stone.
Is it he who walks behind the rows? Not to bring that up again.
Oh, jeez, he's back.
Is it his fucking acolytes?
It's he.
Well, who else?
Because clearly
could it
he's
be?
plant-based. Why is he in rows of corn? So clearly.
All right, I Google searched real quick, are UFOs from hell, and I got nothing.
Oh my god.
So-
We need to get that immediately.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. There is a book here on
fuck.
Amazon.com. We need to get an Amazon banner going for our site soon here because we can start giving like recommendations. It says, round trip to hell in a flying saucer. UFO parasites, alien soul suckers, invaders from demonic realms.
Okay, well, that's not saying. Okay.
Shit, that
let's
looks cool.
let's get it. Let's.
Well, no, hold on a second. Let me
Raj.
give you the real quick here. Does Satan drive a flying saucer? Are demons kidnapping humans and performing sadistic experiments on them? Is there a relationship between blood sacrifices and animals Is there a relationship between blood sacrifices and animals as well as human mutilations attributed to extraterrestrials? Okay.
Facts.
Okay.
Facts and science.
Okay, so let's round this out real quick.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Let's put a button on this. So, like most things, we want to necessarily put this in a box. We're not going to necessarily say that this is a hoax, that she's making this up.
This is too weird to put in a. You can't.
This, like many other things that we've talked about on this podcast, falls into the category of this is just too strange to not be real.
That is definitely one way of putting it.
So, how do you close this out, Rob?
I just want to add this.
Okay.
That the Order of the Nuns, and this might elicit something from one of our listeners maybe knows more obscure things, was the Holy Name Convent. They were from the Holy Name Convent.
Okay.
And I think it was the Holy Name Order.
All right.
So maybe this means something. Maybe somebody out there just had a fucking light bulb erupt in front of their head going, I get it.
Holy shit!
I know exactly
I went there.
what happened.
Yeah.
1924? Oh, hell yes.
All right, and if you do happen to know what happened,
let us know.
Contact us. We're on social media. You can find all the links to our social medias at kryptonautpodcast.com.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Be sure to rate and review the show on iTunes. That helps the show out greatly. Again, we are available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, social media-wise, Facebook.
Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify is a new one. Social media-wise, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Any closing thoughts?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you know what happened 94 years ago, let us know.
Yeah,
if you happen to know, yeah.
What I love, too, is that it's a flying saucer well before the Kenneth Arnold 1947 sighting, which everyone...
True.
Not everyone, but a lot of experts say, oh, and then the UFO, well, particularly the flying saucer. And that's, of course, when it became a big hunk of pop culture.
Right.
But it goes back. Weird shit happened long ago, and the more of it we can bring to light, the happier I am. But... Robo-Flowers with cartoon human faces trying to tempt little girls to help them aim weapons at science buildings is just something that makes my heart sing.
I didn't even think about time travel.
No.
Maybe it was from the future and they tried to
Could be.
fucking erase something.
Well, maybe something bad was going to happen, but now that in our time, timeline they destroyed the building.
That's what I'm saying. They did it.
Good.
Oh man, shit.
They John
I didn't
Connored
think
the
about
fuck
that.
out of that building.
There you have it, and
Damn.
we'll be talking to you soon.
Save the future.
Crap.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, Skynet.
Dun, dun, dun,
Oh,
dun,
did
dun.
we get rid of Skynet?
They did.
Dun, dun,
The flowers
dun,
got rid
dun,
of Skynet.
Thank
God
you,
bless
thank
those
you, Danny
flowers.
Lyons.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yay.
Thank